Zach from the Try Guys tried to get a hair transplant. But the question now is, did it try to grow? Everyone, welcome back to the Hair Transplant Mentor YouTube channel. My name is Joe Tillman, and if you don't know what a hair transplant mentor is, you can learn all about it at hairtransplantmentor.com. Welcome to hair transplant class number 21. I thought now would be a great time to not just examine Zach's results from the ARTAS robot, but also to examine the question, what is the best tool for FUE hair transplant surgery? It's a question I've been getting for years, and if you've been following me on YouTube or on my website, you know that I say that the tool is only as good as the hand that wields it, and that even goes for the ARTAS robot, which has a bad reputation in the industry because early on it used to use bigger punches than other systems, and it was limited to a small area of the donor or the donor zone for extractions. And so when you combine big punches with a small area of extraction, you got thinning and obvious scarring, and that also translates into bad growth when it's done by clinics that aren't really very experienced with hair transplant surgery. But before we look at Zach's result, we're going to look at a bunch of other results from other FUE methods, including manual, handheld motorized, vacuum-assisted motorized, even other ARTAS procedures, because I want to show you that in the right hands, it doesn't matter what tool is being used. As long as the doctor understands how to use that tool for the best result, you can get great results regardless. So let's look at a bunch of results first, and then we'll check out Zach's result. Right, so first up, we've got a 3,900 graft case. This is about a year after the surgery was performed, and the clinic is combing through the donor region to show just how pristine it looks. Would you be surprised to learn that this is not an FUE case? This is a strip case. It's an FUT case by Dr. Ed Ball in the UK, and the donor looks wonderful, but then let's have a look at the result. We got, again, 3,900 grafts. It was roughly a Norwood 6, kind of diffused Norwood 6, but just less than 4,000 grafts over the entire area, and the result looks natural. He's got great coverage. It looks like it was good growth for the area that the grafts were placed in. It looks appropriate. Zero indications of surgery. Next up, we're looking at another case from a different doctor. It's 1,200 grafts. It is FUE, and in this video, he is combing through the donor region just like the previous video. But when we go to the actual results, you can see that there's not a lot of loss. That's why 1,200 grafts was an appropriate number. And then combing through the recipient area, the final growth, it's a beautiful result. Nice angles and direction. And of course, the hairline itself has got a nice frame, good temple closure. It's a great result. And this is from Dr. Scott Boden in Connecticut. And the way that he did this procedure was actually a combination of FUE procedures. The handle was a Harris Safe System micromotor, which has been around for a long time, but then the punch he used was a Cole Instruments sharp punch or CIT punch. So he combined the two. They weren't designed to go together, but they have standard fittings. So the Cole Instruments punch could fit into the Harris Safe System motor, and that's the approach that he prefers, at least in this case, and it's a beautiful result. Well done. The next case is another combination approach. Again, we're starting off with video of the comb through to show that there's really no indication that there was surgery done to begin with. But as we go from the bottom to the top, there's zero indication of surgery. So what kind of surgery was it? It was a strip surgery where the strip scar was camouflaged with FUE. So this was actually a repair case that came to see Dr. Boden, again, Dr. Scott Boden in Connecticut. He had a pretty wide donor scar, and then Dr. Boden placed about 300 grafts into the donor scar, and it looks like it was great growth for what you see here. Well done. This is only 2 weeks after the procedure was performed, and it was 1,000 grafts, and the procedure was using the robot, the ARTAS robot. It looks absolutely untouched. The doctor was Dr. Aron Nusbaum of Miami, Florida, and the next case is also by Dr. Nusbaum, 2,500 grafts, again 2 weeks after surgery, and yes, it was again the ARTAS robot. He's using the latest version of the ARTAS robot. I believe it's the 9X, and he's been using it for quite a while, and he understands hair transplants, so he knows how to apply it to each patient, where not every patient's a candidate for ARTAS. Sometimes he'll use a different method, but these two are ARTAS donor areas. And then for the final result on the recipient area, here's a case where 1,000 grafts was placed into the hairline, and a year later, perfectly natural results. Same thing with the next case. Again, the ARTAS robot, 1,309 grafts into the hairline. Final result, again, Dr. Aron Nusbaum in Miami. It looks like he knows what he's doing, and I challenge anyone to pick this out as a hair transplant, much less one using the ARTAS robot. This donor region had 3,000 grafts taken out in one procedure. Then we got some video showing the comb through. Again, zero indication of surgery. It looks really good, really healthy. We flipped the patient around. You can see the before image and then the after image. It was all hairline work, incredibly natural, but I really wouldn't expect anything less from Dr. Jerry Cooley in Charlotte, North Carolina. By the way, I forgot I actually had this case. It's also a strip case. Here's a great looking case with 2,329 grafts taken in one procedure. It is an FUE procedure, and I've also got photos showing not just the donor region after it healed, but the actual extraction points. You can see the spacing of those extraction points is quite excellent because you got plenty of space in between the extraction points, meaning that the overall donor zone is going to have the least visual impact possible. And again, you saw that with the comb through. We can see in a video of the comb through more evidence that there is no evidence, that it looks completely untouched. And when we look at the final result, before picture, after picture, patient looks really good. And then here's a comb through of the final result. And this procedure was an FUE procedure. It's a Colt instrument punch, which is held between the thumb and forefinger. And it was with Hattingen hair in Switzerland, Dr. Sever Muresanu and Dr. Laura Muresanu. This case is 4,126 grafts in 2 sessions, actually. We did the hairline and then we did the crown. You can see the before images of the hairline. It wasn't a whole lot of reconstruction to do, but when you're doing a hairline reconstruction for patients like this, you do have to have high densities, so it makes sense. And then immediate post-op, you can see where the placement was, and then you can see also the crown. And so it's, it's nice, clean work. It looks good. Grown out, the donor region is beautiful. You can't really tell any surgery was done. And then the final result, this is, here's the patient combing his hair, and it's just like completely natural, great density. But what else would you expect from Dr. Lupinzula of Medicamos in Brussels, Belgium? And the tool that he used, I think the one that he used for this procedure was the handheld CIT punch from Colt Instruments. It's a sharp punch as opposed to dull or blunted or trumpet, all kinds of different punches out there. But he was using a sharp punch. Since that time, he's actually moved on to a different system, a micromotor system, but this was handheld manual, and of course, it looks great. I got 2 more cases I'm going to show you before we get to Zach's result. This one, 2,750 grafts in one procedure. It is an FUE surgery. You can see the before image, and then we've actually got the donor mapping image where the donor region was shaved and then the extraction areas were mapped out, which is, I like seeing that. 8 months later, it's a beautiful result. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, but like there's no hint that almost 3,000 grafts were taken from the donor region. But then when we move on to the next patient, same doctor, is something I think will blow you away. Norwood 6 patient with a pretty good looking donor region. I think you'll be surprised to learn that 11,620 grafts were taken from this donor region. And when you look at how it healed a year later, there is zero evidence of surgery having been performed. And then of course the recipient area, great growth, great coverage, beautiful hairline, phenomenal result from Dr. Zarev out of Bulgaria. And the system that he uses, it is FUE. This was an FUE procedure, but he doesn't use anything that you can buy off the shelf. He developed it himself. It is a vacuum-assisted micromotor of his own design, not like a NeoGraft or a SmartGraft. He designed it. He built it, or had it built, and he's got a great approach to surgery that I think is unique and interesting. That brings us to Zach and his results. So if you remember, he had an ARTAS procedure using the robot, and it was July 2019 that the video came out. The surgery could have been in June, but the video came out 9 months ago. And I think that we need to look at his before images before we look at the final results. So starting off with June of 2018, here he is, just as we've all seen him on the Try Guys videos, high hairline, not really any temples to speak of. The central hairline is pretty much gone. A few wispies of the forelock, and then the top is pretty thin, as we saw in his original hair transplant video. He does a comb over here, and nothing wrong with that, but that's just his style. Then we fast forward to December 2018, 7 months before he actually had his surgery, and again, the same hairstyle, the same hairline problem, the same thinness. Then we moved to a couple days after his surgery. You can see the placement. You can see that, I mean, it looks like it's okay density, nothing shockingly high, it doesn't look very low. That's the placement. So I saw this, and I expected that there would be a noticeable improvement in density and the shape of his hairline and framing of his face. But then we fast forward to March of 2020, and March 4th, I think this is March 4th, I'm not seeing a difference. In fact, this is in a magazine shoot. And in magazines, we know that they're always modifying the pictures to make them look better. And if this is as good as they can make it look, I don't see much growth. I see a few wispies up here in the temple region. I see a few hairs coming out, but I don't see anything that creates a hairline. And then we go to March 12th, and this is more of a candid photo on Instagram, on his Instagram feed. And he looks just like he did in June of 2018. The hair is flat because it's fine and doesn't have much volume. He's still got the comb over going, and you see the wispies in the temple region. And then March 16th, just 2 weeks ago, again, the hair is poofier because he's got bedhead or something, I don't know. But the hairline is almost unchanged. You can still see a few of those wispies in the corners, but it's nothing like you would expect from the placement shot right after surgery when the scabbing was still there. So I'm upset for him, because while I didn't think that it was the greatest procedure, and I had my critique of how it was done, I was still hoping that it would at least grow and Zach would be happy, because that's all we should ever want for hair transplant patients to be, is happy with their result. So the question becomes, what happened? Again, I think I've proven that the tool is only as good as the hand that wields it. Like I just showed you several cases from different clinics using different approaches and different methodologies, different tools, and they all looked natural. They all had good growth. So what happened here? Was it the robot, or was it something else? So Zach, if you want me to help you figure this out, I'm happy to help. Give me a DM on Twitter, or reach me through my website. I'd love to help you. And you're not the only one I've talked about on my YouTube channel. I've helped some other people that have been public with their hair transplants, and they didn't turn out so great. And I'd like to help you too, if you're open to it. If not, no big deal. But I wanted everyone else to learn something about this, that when you're doing your hair transplant research, don't go anywhere based on the type of tool that they're using, because it doesn't matter. Like the hairdresser in the Try Guys video when Zach got his hair transplant, He wanted him to go to the robot because Zach was concerned about scarring.
When I was looking at Barber Surgeons Guild, because of the robotic technology that they had, that's when I knew that that would put his hair concerns at rest, because your concern was surgery and your other concern was scarring.
That has nothing to do with it. And never ever listen to your hairdresser when it comes to hair transplant advice. Ever. Ever. So that's it. Hair transplant class number 21 is completed. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching. See ya. Bye. Peace.